Pandemonium Reigns.
Hello, and welcome to Pandemonium Reigns, where pandemonium is still reigning.
What do I do with my hands? What do I do?
I don't know what to do with my hands. So, typically, friends and family, we will typically, Pandemonium Reigns, Mike and I will cover Tennessee and then everything outside of the world of Tennessee. But we were in the stadium on Saturday, and we didn't get home from the stadium on Saturday until very late. So we don't know what happened in the rest of the world.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. And we don't care.
No. Were other games actually played? Did they bother to play other games Saturday? I don't know. I don't know why they did. God, there was only one game. So
I don't know. Here's the better question. Are we going to get to play on Saturday? We need goalposts.
It's a work in progress, right?
It's a work in progress. Like, we're taking a lot of heat for asking the fans to hit the GoFundMe page. And I actually took some heat from the gym this morning. And it's like real classy move by Tennessee to, not front that money and make the fans pay for it. Well, I'm like, well, the fans are the ones who tore it down.
Yeah. Look, dude, if I was a more charitable person, I'd give every dime I had to this. I don't care.
Right? I don't care.
Look, this is who Danny White is. He's a fundraiser. He's a master financial advisor. I mean, Danny, teach me something, brother. Peyton wrote that check before he left the venue, son. I mean, Peyton, before he got out of the stadium, he's like, let me get my checkbook. What's your cash app, Danny? That thing is covered as soon as they'll have it put covered. Up. It's fine. Just no practice for Chase McGrath this week because there's no field goal posts.
I didn't even think about that. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, obviously they do have the indoor facility and everything else, but
yeah.
Coach Hop was like, "Hey man, you see that cloud right there? Why don't you aim for that thing? Just find a target, man. Go hit it." Hey coach, can we practice in the stadium this week? No, we ain't got no posts, we ain't got no grass.
Grass, dude. It's being auctioned off, right? Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on eBay.
Yeah.
It's on eBay.
Again, if I wasn't so cheap, maybe.
I was scrolling on TikTok before we started this recording here, and a bunch of people are all, man, Tennessee's acting like they just won the Super Bowl. Tennessee's acting like they just won the national championship. I just want to kind of start the show by saying this. Listen, find me another program that's been as down as long as we have, that has endured what we have. You're talking about, what, 4 coaches in 10 years? You're
roughly, yeah.
You're talking about your best seasons being, what, 2015 and 2016, and 16 ended with mediocrity.
Yeah.
And 15 had its own set of disappointments.
Yeah.
You're talking about 15 years of this game against Alabama, with 2 of them being close. 2 of them. So you know what? We did just win the Super Bowl. Of course we're going to act like that. Of course. I mean,
that was the actual exorcism of all that stuff. I mean, and if anyone wants to say that, listen, if you're outside the SEC and you've beaten Alabama, props, because you've won a major bowl, or you've won a national championship, or you've won a playoff game. Looking at you, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia last year in the national championship, but Georgia's not even, and I'm not throwing shade, I'm just saying Georgia's not beating them in Atlanta. Again, they've beaten them in the national championship, but you got to go back to what, 07, 08 for a Georgia win outside of the national championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we talk about this a lot, but the last SEC East quarterback to beat Alabama in the regular season is Hendon Hooker right now, whereas it was Stephen Garcia in the 2010 season, 12 years. So listen, sure, say it, get those jokes off, say whatever you want, but Tennessee is currently the 3rd fourth ranked team in the nation, as they should be, if not higher based on the resume. And again, in the regular season, you got to go back to Steven Garcia in the 2010 season for an Alabama loss to an SEC East opponent in the regular season. And again, it's not like it's been happening in the SEC championship game. It's barely happening in bowl games and in the playoffs. I mean, it's the dynasty of all dynasties. It just is. So yeah, if you're Auburn, props to you guys. We love the way that you beat these guys. LSU, you've done it occasionally. Love you. Appreciate you for that. Ole Miss, you've had your times. Hopefully you do it again this year. That would be cool with me. But get those jokes off, but you don't have much ground to stand on.
Yeah, and here's another stat. We are 0-39 since 2007 against top 10 opponents. So I think you said it best. We exorcised.
Yeah,
we cast out that demon in Jesus' name. So you know what? Like, I think the problem is you don't like it. You don't.
That's it.
I think I will be honest with you. I had a Georgia guy tell me today. He said, "Listen, I would kill for my team to have been a part of a scene like that."
Yeah, I mean, boy, and we can either segue into that now or later. But I've had so many people, just friends and just people I've talked about the game with. They were like, "Did you run down on the field?" And I was like, "I didn't. I couldn't take my eyes away from it. The sea of people. I've got about a 55-minute video on my phone of that. Just eating that up. I mean, we were there easily for 45 minutes after the game ended, if not longer. Just soaking it up. Nobody leaving except for those in crimson. I mean, just an unreal environment. So I get why you want to be a part of that. Nobody's done it. No, I mean, nobody really does it. I mean, that's what they've built.
Exactly.
So you got to relish it. And maybe, I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, but it feels a lot more stable. And listen, beating Alabama is kind of proof of that, but it feels a lot more stable than ending the Florida streak in 16, the way that it was done, coming off of that 15 season and those losses. It feels different now. There's still we're early in this era, but things feel right. They feel different. The team is playing. Listen, the defense has work to do, but everybody is playing to 110% of their abilities right now.
And how can you even be mad at the defense? Because it's not like they're not. It's not like a lack of effort because they're playing hard, right?
Right.
But
right.
I want to comment on what you just said. It feels. That's the word. It feels different. We said that in the Butch era.
Yeah.
Right. We even said that early in the Pruitt era.
Sure.
So we have felt this before, and I listen, y'all. It feels different than that.
Yeah.
And I think I would have said this pre-Alabama game.
Yes, I would have as well, because before the Alabama game, sure, we were all a little concerned with how the Florida game closed out. We were excited, no doubt, but we were concerned. But we talked about that Pitt game, and notice I skipped over a monster win versus a West opponent on the road. I skipped over that. That's saying a lot. And also, we were talking about that Pitt game, saying Tennessee's not won that game, whether it was a conference game that they were in position to win but lost, things like that. It's just different things are happening all in one season than have happened consistently for a very long time. That's why it feels more stable. It feels different to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is. I think stable is a great way of describing it. And in my mind, I don't think that the offense is going to be able to sustain this level of productivity over the years. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of this season folds out. But the defense can only get better.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't talked about this, you and I, to my knowledge, and I didn't realize it real time. But we had a walk-on corner, that closed out the game in a way that forced Alabama to kick a 49-yard field goal. So I mean, we're digging deep into just the bodies that we have. We've got something like six secondary players on the way in the class that's coming. You've got young guys that are hopefully developing and only getting healthier and more knowledgeable now. So the defense can only go up. The offense will probably plateau or, you'll see guys kind of figure it out more. But I'll say to that, we were worried about that coming into the season. The offense has a lot of differences this year. One, we're able to run a lot more successful, even if it's just 3 or 4 yards on a 2nd and 10 that gets you in a 3rd and medium. Even if it's, 3rd and short, we've gone under center more times than I can really name so far. We didn't do that last year.
Yeah.
And the passing game last year, it was a lot of the screens, line of scrimmage throws. There's far less of those and more digs and comebacks and bombs over Baghdad.
Bro, did you hear that? Jalen Hott just scored again.
Number 6. That's crazy. Dude, that is so crazy. But yeah, there's differences, man. That's what I'm kind of saying too, is I think it will change and there will be plateaus and there will be a monster task. I don't care who it is, a monster task of one day replacing Hendon Hooker, one day that's closer than I wish it was. Gosh. But so it's going to change, but the defense can literally only go up.
Yeah, absolutely. You're okay. You're triggering more thoughts for me. I want to use 2 examples here that are indicators of the change inside of this football team from last year, even to the early part of this year. So you and I were in there for Saturday and you were in there for Tennessee, Florida, onside kick, Florida recovers, the air comes out of the stadium.
Yes, it did.
You can feel it, right?
Absolutely.
The fumble, scoop, and score that took place on Saturday with Dallas Turner, the air did not come out of the stadium. It's almost like the fans got pissed off. There was a bit of an uproar, and I'm going, okay.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one indicator, like, hey, things are different. The second one, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know what the down and distance is. I don't know what quarter it is. I don't know. But Jeremiah Crawford, we're kind of in a huddle. I don't really know what's happening. Did you see this? Did you see this? He throws up on the field.
Yeah.
And he looks at the Alabama defenders and nods his head like, yep, that's what's up.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Come on.
I can tell that it must have been, I believe, let's see. It would have been 3rd quarter, I believe, based on just Jeremiah the direction Crawford. The team was going.
Oh, that's
Jeremiah
true.
Crawford.
Yeah.
The direction the team was going. And listen, there was a lot of official reviews and a lot of, fans in the stadium, whereas you're hearing things live on TV and you're a lot more in the know. We're kind of, all often going, well, what are they reviewing? Can we get a replay? This and that. Do the officials know what down it is? No, they don't. And that's just one of those amazing moments that we missed. And watching the video of that is just insane. And if you don't mind, I think that's a perfect segue there. I mean, Gerald Mincey starts the season at left tackle. The offensive line was, like we've talked about, a weakness and a concern for us. I mean, one of a big concerns because you've got to keep Hendon Hooker safe, upright, and, don't let him get killed. And it hasn't mattered who's played left tackle. The running game has improved not only from last year to this year, from week to week, it's improved.
Yeah.
The competition has been stouter. The running game has been better. You look at the defense, and we talked about it. We talked about literally playing a walk-on at corner. You've got a guy in Jalen McCullough that's played 450 career games at Tennessee, just about. Exaggeration, excuse me, but he's played a lot of football.
Yeah.
You got Danico Slaughter that goes in. You got Wesley Walker back there at times. You've got Warren Burrell, who also has played maybe even more games than Jalen McCullough, and he's not able to go even in that Florida game. I mean, it hasn't mattered who's been in. It's just things are clicking and things are working. And again, talking about overcoming that late scoop and score, that's the moment that things have broken for so long for Tennessee.
Yes.
And it didn't matter on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think your fan base was an indicator. I after that play, I sat down and I buried my face in my hands and I went, "Yep, here we go. This is what happens."
Yeah.
And I have to stand up because there's a lot of noise in the stadium. I'm going like, "What is everybody like?" No, they're pissed. Like, they're pissed off.
Yep.
Whereas in years past, it's just everybody's doing what I did.
Yeah.
So, the left tackle position, as you were talking about, a position of concern going into the season, like you mentioned, and it turns out that Mincey and Crawford are near interchangeable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It turns out that either one of those guys can basically keep old Will Anderson from registering a stat.
Yeah, I mean, 3 tackles for listen, y'all, a consensus. I mean, everybody's like top 3, maybe number 1 pick for the draft coming up. Consensus. Like
a guy you and I both said should have won the Heisman last year, or at least should have been there. Should have been there.
Over Aiden Hutchinson, I would say. It should have been there.
He definitely should have been over Aiden Hutchinson, and he probably would have got my vote.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been hard to talk me out of it. And he has 3 total tackles. 1, I think, was solo, half a tackle for loss. And you look down the statistics for that front 7, and that's just kind of like the norm for that day. That's just what Tennessee's front did to keep the run game safe, to keep the yard, the down and distance safe. It's just what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it just remarkable. Here's this, and I'm sure you may recall, but we talked about in the offseason that Glenn Ellerbe was getting some looks, getting some talk for, potentially being scooped away from Tennessee. I think Georgia was even interested when Matt Luke stepped away from coaching. And that's a big deal. And it's clicking for me now, because I didn't necessarily know why coming off of last year. Sure, it's, kind of a also thrown together group last year, but boy, have they gelled. They play angry football. They have gotten so much better, again, week to week, not only year to date. So it all makes sense for me why Glenn Ellerbe was, being talked about, getting looked at for jobs. And I hope the staff stays together. I don't want to see any member of the staff go anywhere.
I would love for this to pull a Clemson there for a while and just keep some continuity.
Absolutely.
Hey, as we transition conversation here just a little bit, I want to shout out Alabama. I mean, Bryce Young is that dude. He is unbelievable. He's one of few guys who showed up for them that day. I mean, we did not get the best Alabama. I will sit here and admit that you had a really good Tennessee show up that day, and you had a very average Alabama show up this day. I'm not even go so far as to say that Saban got out coached.
Yes.
In some departments. So in a reverence to Bryce Young, dude, I hope he has a long, healthy NFL career. He is probably the best I have ever seen at eluding pressure and keeping his eyes upfield and finding the open guy. It is absolutely remarkable. It's as a football fan, I just love watching him play. I hate who he plays for, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, any comments on Young there?
Oh, and listen, I had we talked about my man crush for Bryce Young from afar, because again, I hate who he plays for. And again, and this is preseason talk. This is record prediction stuff. Have so much respect for him. How bad was he hurt? I don't know. He didn't look hurt. He did get hit, and he stayed in that game for the full. I mean, I don't think he came out of that game. Took some legit shots. I mean, some legit shots.
Even ones to the helmet.
Yeah, he did.
We'll admit that.
Very probably a target there. But hey, if we want to talk officiating, we can. But
we will, just not yet.
Cool. We'll get there then. But yeah, he's that dude, man. Listen, I think he'll go pro. He should go pro.
Oh, he's going pro.
Don't come back. I don't want to play again. If we beat Georgia, we'll probably see you again. But that dude, remarkable football player.
I think I'm going to have to recant what I said, that if Bryce Young doesn't play, I don't really think there's a difference. Oh, there's a difference. There's
massive difference, especially, listen, the way that game played out when Tennessee's up 28-10. If Tennessee gets up 28-10 on Jalen Milroe,
yeah, boy,
that game could have finished ugly.
It could have. Absolutely. So listen, props to Bryce Young. Hey, go find you a pro team that I can root for and get behind, and I'll be happy for you.
And stay healthy.
The second Alabama guy I want to commend here and give props to is Mr. Colton Brown.
Yeah, that's a fact. And while we're at it, I'm going to mention Wayne Walden too. But
okay,
our buddies, 2 of our buddies that were also at the game.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're online, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, you're seeing a lot of Alabama fans comment and make ridiculous comments and make themselves look like children. Not our buddies Colton and Wayne, man, just took the loss like two
And
champs.
Cody. Don't forget Cody and JP.
Oh yeah, Cody.
Yeah.
Cody, JP, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, took the loss like champs. It does happen. Tennessee does beat Alabama. It is a thing that really does happen. So taking the loss like champs, we appreciate it. But yeah, we were with Colton that entire game, and he was like, "This is worth every penny that I paid for this."
So I don't know if you saw this. So listeners out there, Colton was in between Michael and I. I had joked about it, putting him in the middle, and then it just ended up happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's I'm throwing him under the bus. I don't care. He's such a good dude. So he's Miller lighting the whole time. Two of them things, the whole game, and that kick goes through the uprights, and he's got this biggest smile on his face, and he looks at me and he says, "Man, this is awesome." Like he just lost, and he's like, "Man, this is awesome. This is incredible." He's like,
I didn't hear that, so that's awesome.
He's like, "Look at that, man. This is awesome."
That's amazing. I didn't hear that, so props to my man.
And the guy turns around and in pure, true, great fandom, lights the cigars for us, right?
Yeah,
Cuts
right.
them, as I cut them for us and lights them for us. Michael and I lost our cigar virginity. At least I did. I don't know if you did or not, but I lost mine on Saturday. I'd been waiting since 2006, obviously.
Yeah.
But hey, just through the lens of Alabama for a second, I thought Kool-Aid McKinstry played a heck of a game. We have obviously raved about Bryce Young. Obviously thought Jahmyr Gibbs had a great day. I will say that if he catches, I believe, that third down,
yes,
we're probably looking at a different outcome.
Absolutely.
Right? Reichard would have to miss again, or yes. Who even knows? Maybe they get into the end zone. I mean,
that's possible on that play. Yes.
Who knows? Jermaine Burton had one heck of a catch, but I'm pretty sure he had a drop as well. Their receiving unit was average, but they had some dudes really step up. Even their other corner had a pretty good day, but the safeties, this is where I'm going to tell you that Saban got out coached, because we kept finding ways to line up Hyatt over Helms.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, this is why I'm not a coach, but at a certain point, and heck, I even do this on NCAA 2014. If things aren't working, I will start throwing anything, whether it's computer, whether I'm playing you. I'm going to try everything in the book to avoid, giving up points if I'm getting scored on at will. And Tennessee just kept forcing it. Cole Kubelik had a tweet talking about 4 out of Hyatt's 5 touchdowns came out of the stack and the bunch looks. And I just don't know how Alabama kept allowing that to happen, or Tennessee kept forcing that to happen. I don't know how. I don't know how at a certain point he didn't just have 2 or 3 guys on him that were like, don't let him touch the ball. I don't know. It just a remarkable performance. 200 yards and 5 touchdowns against Alabama. I mean, just absolutely remarkable, showing off everything, every tool in the box that we hoped for when we signed Jalen Hyatt, because we knew about his speed, and he's shown it at times for sure, but he showed it for 60 minutes on Saturday and was responsible for, 5 touchdowns yards against Alabama. 207 and 5.
And think about this. Hooker ended with 385, and Hyatt was responsible for 207 of those.
Yeah.
You know what? Hooker's getting a lot of praise, and which he should, because he was elite. Okay? Yes. But Hyatt made him look elite.
He certainly helped, and that is a thing. That's a common theme, Bryce Young is doing it right now without that elite receiver play that he got a year ago, and things like that. But it's a different receiver every week for Hooker right now. Against Florida, Ramel Keaton making the grab of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Cedric Tillman having 100+ yards. They all chipped in last week at times. And then Jalen Hyatt's like, I got you. I got you.
Watch this.
Yeah.
So I'm so giddy.
Oh man.
So on the drive home, I didn't tell you this. Had a 3.5-hour drive home from Knoxville to Gainesville, Georgia, and I found every podcast I could, which there wasn't many. Wes Rucker had one on Go Vols, and there were some other things. And every now and then I would just stop it and play I Hate Alabama by Morgan Wallen.
Or Connor, right?
Yeah, and every now and then I would just stop it and play Dixieland Delight. And what I got to send you this video because I have a video of Colton out. He is slap gone, and I'm like snapping in his face, and he is gone, and I'm just in my feels grinning. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm not home yet. I'm still in the car, and I'm like, I don't care. I
care.
I just don't care. I don't care. So, I want to so before the game on Saturday, on Friday, I believe I went on TikTok and I made a post about, hey, here's what Tennessee has to do to win. And I said it's just going to come down to the offensive line for Tennessee. Period. It's in order for Tennessee to win, the offensive line has to play well.
Yeah.
And I said you've got to do better than the 55 or 65 rushing yards that you did last year against Bama. And just throwing the numbers out here, Wright and Small. Let's see here. Wright had 12 carries. Small had 12 carries, and they combined for 124 yards. Okay.
That'll do.
That'll do, donkey. And of course, that obviously doesn't account for the stats that Hooker had rushing. Obviously, most of those were not designed. However, in regards to the offensive line, can we talk about the time that they gave Hooker? Yeah, I mean, we already hinted this, but just through the lens of like, he got sacked once and he had time.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the deep balls that he threw. Yeah, Hyatt was quick and getting down there, but my goodness, the time that he had.
He had time. Alabama, like we talked about. I mean, we've only mentioned Will Anderson so far, but there's not anyone that's shabby in that front. When it comes to pass rush, they have this cheetah package that we talked about. They have Dallas Turner. They have their own Byron Young. They have Jaheim Otis that's 700 pounds large. I mean, they've got dudes. They always do.
So I was actually reading in the Bible today. I'm a youth pastor, y'all, and we're traveling through the Old Testament. And I got to where David, as a boy, he's anointed king, and he goes to fight Goliath, fighting his king's battles, by the way. And it turns out that Goliath's name translated in Hebrew is Jaheim. I'm kidding. It's a joke. I'm making a joke.
Done.
That dude, your face. I was like, wait a second. I'm going to have to bring transparency here.
Got me.
Jaheim Otis is translated Goliath.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Philistine language.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, he had time, like we've talked about. There was pressure on. Hey, credit to Alabama. They got Hendon Hooker's first interception of the season. They almost got two.
Great play.
Pass interference. Absolutely great play. And it was Helms redeeming himself, I believe.
It was. And a bad ball by Hooker.
Yeah, yes, but I was going to say there was more pressure in his face than his usual throw. It sped him up just a little bit.
Sure.
The throw was a little bit of an airmail, obviously targeted for Jalen Hyatt. But again, they got pressure a little bit more, even if it was perceived pressure instead of real pressure. That caused that throw to be a little bit higher than he wanted, probably sped him up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that if you talk about Hooker, he put up numbers. He had the performance, and again, powered by Jalen Hyatt, powered by that offensive line, powered by his running game, keeping him out of 3rd and 10 every time. But he had a performance that'll keep him in the Heisman conversation. Absolutely.
I mean,
but again, those dudes put him in that position. If Hendon Hooker travels to New York, he should have a 10-man entourage.
Absolutely. Get both left tackles to stand behind him. Get Carvin. Get Coop. Get Darnell, who I believe was SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Was he not?
Confirmed. He was.
So, again, a position of concern going into this season has just turned out to be stellar. I mean, that was a stellar performance. Right. It
was otherworldly. And I know I'd kind of forgotten one thing I wanted to mention. We'd looked at the deep ball that was more of a catch and run by Hyatt up the right seam. Mm-hmm. And we saw Will Anderson drop into a spy there. And then I believe we saw video of the throw to Brew to set up, I believe, the field goal. I may be off, but again, there was like two guys sitting there spying Hendon. Y'all, there was 15 seconds left in the game. Why would he run? I mean, I get it to an extent, but like that's where I think Saban and certainly Pete Golding and those guys, they got out coached, man. And I think, Saban talked about them being tight. They weren't doing the chants that they do coming out of the tunnel and the locker room and all that. But Tennessee forced that, and they allowed that to continue. They kept the pressure on. Even when they lost the lead, they just went right down. They went right back and tied it and took the lead back. I mean, just kept the pressure there the whole game and forced a lot of those situations that Alabama found themselves in.
My mind went to Tennessee, Florida, 2015, where we got into those 4th and long situations against Florida, and we spied.
Yeah, that is a great point, and that's what it kind of looked like. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. Now, in that situation, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Hendon obviously a better runner than Will Greer will ever be on his best day. But the down and distance and time situation tells you, like, go get him. Go get him.
Yeah, don't give him any time. I mean, don't give him time to pass. I mean, I don't know, man.
It doesn't make sense. Maybe they realize, hey, we can't get there.
Yeah, and maybe
we can't tide this roll. We can't get it to move.
But also, if you're going to spy Hendon Hooker, and again, we're credit where it's due for him as a runner. He's a warrior. He takes pops that we've talked about Josh Dobbs avoiding in his time. But if you're going to spy Hendon Hooker, maybe not do it with the top 3, maybe first overall pick, Will Anderson. Maybe do it with someone a little more dispensable and let Will Anderson get after it. Just give him opportunities because, I mean, Will Anderson is Will Anderson.
My thought is at this point, take Helms, who can't guard Hyatt, roll your cover 3, send him down, and put your other safety deep third, your other 2 corners deep third, and let him spy and let Will Anderson go. I mean, that's a better listen. It's not the best option, but it's better than what you did.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's flip to the other side of the ball just for, conversation's sake.
Sure.
And let me just go ahead and say this about our defense. It is week 7 going into week 8, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is who it is. We are who we are defensively. I don't think it's going to get better.
Agreed.
If it hasn't gotten better by now, if it didn't make that week 1 to week 2 jump and improve, it's just not going to happen. And I don't know. I don't know what the cause is. But when it comes to a critical down, it's a conversion. I don't care who it is. I don't care what the down and distance is. They're going to get it.
Yeah. And you said that, and we said that, I think you and I, if we didn't say it on here, we talked about it for the Florida game and those critical downs and distances, but certainly Saturday it reared itself again. And you talked about, again, they're just not clutch in those moments. And I wanted to dispute that. I really, really did. I was trying as hard as I could to, just thinking about it, but it's different ways. With Florida, it was holes in your zones at the sticks. With Alabama, it was a check down to Jahmyr Gibbs. It was Cameron Latu, which is more similar to the Florida situations. But, I mean, you're right. They're not clutch. The pass rush may get there and force that long 3rd or 4th down, but they're not getting there quite early enough on the 3rd or 4th down to force a punt or a turnover on downs. So you're right. I think they're just not clutch. Like we definitely talked about, we've got to have dudes. We got to have more dudes in the front 7, and we need everybody we can get in the secondary. Absolutely.
And I will say this: we created more pressure than I thought we were going to. We got to him a couple times, and even when we didn't complete a sack, we might have put him on the ground, or caused him to get outside of the pocket, or a number of different things. But the ability to finish a play where we get pressure is just so incredibly aggravating. Because I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but gosh, doesn't it figure that we have such an elite offense?
Yeah.
And we just can't seem to figure out the defensive side of the ball,
Yeah. And it coincides with a bad, I'm just trying to make a generalization here. It goes with a bad time in college football as a sport that your defense has the issues because everybody's starting to get more and more offense. Tennessee certainly welcome to the 21st century, but it coincides with a bad time in the sport. You don't see those low scoring games anymore, like we used to see. So yeah, it's a bad time. Hopefully recruiting picks up and fixes that rapidly.
It should. I sure hope so. I mean, who is a recruit in high school right now, whether offensively or defensively, not considering us? I mean, seriously, because even if you're a secondary guy and you're a 4-star, 5-star going, holy crap.
Playing time.
Yeah, playing time, my offense is going to score, right? Like I'm going to play a lot. Like
Yeah.
My offense is not going to win the time of possession, but I'm going to get to play, right?
Absolutely.
The snaps are going to be there. And if we as a unit can make some stops, then man, we're going to win ball games.
Absolutely.
Now, if I'm a receiver, if I'm a tight end, if I'm a quarterback, if I'm any position, I mean, dadgum, if I'm a kicker,
yeah, right.
I'm getting to play. Unless I'm a punter. If I'm a punter, I'm going, man, bump Tennessee. I ain't going there.
right.
Bump that junk.
but like if we had a freshman or a sophomore kicker right now, and again, if a freshman or a sophomore kicker coincided with the start of the Heupel era, they would run so far and away with the school record for points.
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of being a kicker. You kick field goals and you kick 6-7 extra points a game right now. You're going to run away with that record.
You're going to run away with it. Run away with it. Just like oh God, he just scored again, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So let's transition things here just a little bit. Actually, wait. We did this without Cedric Tillman, and we did this without Jalen McCullough.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Okay, so here's what I was saying. Here's validation of what I was saying. I think you and I talked about this off record. I'm not real sure. Maybe this was me and JP. I don't remember. But somewhere along the line, I said, I really actually don't want Cedric Tillman back for this game.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You said that. I think we both actually talked about it, you and I, as well as you with JP. Okay. I know for a fact you did with him.
And my thought was, let's not mess up that chemistry that Hooker has going on with everybody else. And actually, the way that translates is, let's not mess up that chemistry between him and Hooker and Jalen Hyatt is how that manifested itself.
Yeah.
I think that game would have been different had Cedric been there. But I don't know if you saw this, but Cedric Tillman was elated after this game, smoking one up. I mean, it is going to be so good to have him back because obviously he's done after this year. I mean,
yeah.
So the other side, Jalen McCullough. A couple thoughts here. I'm not convinced that a Jalen McCullough changes the number of yards that they put up, the number of conversions that they get. I think that's actually probably all the same. I don't know that there's much of a difference there.
I agree. I don't think it's very different. And we have beaten the horse to death and buried it in the ground, talking about just those guys being who they are. I hope that Danico Slaughter doesn't eventually fall into that category, but a lot of, again, we talked about the way they picked up the 3rd and 4th downs, but a lot of the things were similar across the middle. Mm-hmm. I do think we played more man, definitely. On Saturday than for sure we did against Florida, and understandably so, with the way that you keep your eyes on the quarterback versus the receiver and not letting Richardson get loose.
Yeah.
But I don't think McCullough prevents, there's a Jahmyr Gibbs rushing touchdown where he kind of cuts it upfield on Trayvon Flowers and just leaves him sitting. Yeah. And, I want to, part of me wants to blame Trayvon Flowers right there, but Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. So I'm not going to go as far as to say that Jalen McCullough makes that play because there's been times where he hasn't this season and over his career. So I don't think much changes, but it is still impressive for communication purposes, for the stops that were had, that Tennessee did this without him.
Well, you and I pointed out during that game, or maybe I'm imagining this, but I do remember Trayvon making his way over to Danico and the inside corner on his opposite side, basically telling him, hey, here's what you're doing, get down, whatever. Maybe Jalen helps that a little bit,
Sure.
but your shake and bake that you had from Jahmyr Gibbs and Trayvon Flowers. I want to point this out for a second. I think he does what he does regardless there, but Trayvon does not break down. He does not come upon the ball carrier, break his feet down, and go through the process of making a tackle, which is butt down, head up, head across. I don't know what that was.
I agree.
But anyway, I don't know that it would have mattered.
I'm with you.
Because Gibbs is that dude. I will say this. Going into this game, I went the stretch play off tackle to Jahmyr Gibbs concerns me.
Certainly.
It was not an issue.
No, it wasn't. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, 4.3 yards per carry for 24 carries, 103 yards, 4.3 per carry, 3 touchdowns because he's that dude.
Yeah.
48 more yards through the air because he is a college version of what Alvin Kamara does with the Saints and at Tennessee for all intents and purposes. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback's best friend. And it's a little bit different than just a traditional running back, but he's tremendous. But yeah, I don't think it changes a whole lot. Like you talked about Flowers' approach on that play, not great at all. Not what you want. But yeah, the stretch play, again, Alabama had some success to the tune of 114 yards as a team rushing, but the stretch play didn't kill us. Nothing really did. I mean, it was just small chunk here, small chunk there. Gibbs had a long run of 26. That's longer than any run that LSU had. But it didn't beat you.
No,
it wasn't consistent.
Yeah. And our run fits remain so good. So good. And we held a really good back to maybe held is not the right word, but I guess, and since we're talking about a Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe held is the right word, to 103, like you said. Thought we defended the run so well, which I am not trying to jump the gun here early, but it's what gets me excited to play Georgia, because Kirby strikes me as that guy. It's like, we're going to run it. That's what we're going to do. Watch this. And I'm going, after that Alabama game, all right, okay.
I'll be
all right.
And I'll be fascinated to see Georgia's approach offensively, because the worst thing they could do is either be stubborn about the run or to get cute. They should do what they do best: get the ball out to the receivers, get the ball out to freaking Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington, find any way possible to do that. And then also, not Bryce Young, not Anthony Richardson, not even Jaden Daniels, but don't let Stetson run on you. Keep him in the pocket.
Yeah.
Keep things hectic for him.
Yeah.
Lots of pressure, I would hope for. But yeah, I'll be fascinated by Georgia's approach in that game. And I actually want to talk about the game a week ahead of that one. I'll be really excited for Kentucky in Neyland Stadium, which will be a madhouse at 7 p.m. that day. But again, Chris Rodriguez has come back from his suspension, running the ball like a machine. And I'm excited to see the defense match up against that.
Absolutely.
Do I think Will Levis will have a good game against Tennessee? Yes, because quarterbacks are having good games against Tennessee. Do I think he's probably good for a pick? Yeah, I do. But if he doesn't, their offensive line is not playing well right now. That does not bode well, facing Byron Young, Omari Thomas, Tyler Barron, Bryce, Eason, Bumpus. It doesn't bode well. And Tennessee's been tremendous against the run. So very excited for the next stretch of games. Even for this UT Martin game, I need it. I need the UT Martin game like I need life after Saturday. Just to continue with the run fits. I mean, just talk about a transition from year to year that I've not seen in my lifetime.
Listen, y'all, a little sneak peek of Georgia and Kentucky, and we're going to give you guys that free of charge. We're not going to charge you for that one. That one's free. Little sneak peek action there. Linebackers, just for a second. Man, Jeremy Banks, Beasley, and Juwan Mitchell are large in part responsible for the ability to defend the run, especially an Amari Thomas. Got to give credit to some names that you've thrown out here as well, and Bumpus and in Byron Young. And, Tyler Barron is not panning out to what we hoped he was going to be, but still playing really well. I mean, they like him inside when we get into a third and long situation. They like to pursue. And maybe that's something that we need to look at. I mean, because that seems to be our package, third and long. Let's do this. But I don't know what else to do, obviously. Corners for us. I'll let you kind of highlight here linebackers, corners. We talked safeties a little bit and D line. You know what? Say what you want to about our corners, but it kind of, again, it is what it is. And one of those corners is Christian Charles, who was not recruited as a corner. He was recruited as a safety, and he does have great hips. He can cover well, but I mean, what do you want out of these corners? I mean, Kamal Hadden is probably our best corner, and he's not great.
Right. And it's consistency more so than his technique necessarily, although it's not wonderful, but it's consistency for Hadden, because I thought he played his best game of the year, I think, was that Pitt game. And I think would be hard. It would be hard to convince me otherwise, at least. But ever since, I think he had a hamstring situation Saturday. So his playing time was early and very limited. But you talk about like D Williams didn't get a ton of opportunities, but like everybody else that was healthy got a lot of opportunities. Christian Charles, Deshaun Rucker, Brandon Turnage played more. I mean, it's refreshing that we're not just saying we do this at safety, but we don't do it at corner. We're rotating guys in. Maybe it's their health. I don't know. I'm going to watch this game again on Thursday. That's when it comes on the nearest that I was able to find. So I've got it set to record, and I'll be very curious to see if there's anything I can pick up there. But we're rotating guys. We're doing everything we can. Like we talked about, they played more man, and Bryce Young's incredible. He's accurate. He knows where a guy's going to be, when he's going to be there. It's a tough matchup. We talked about this game as a loss, a no questions loss. So doesn't matter for me how Tennessee won it, because they did. You do want to see this defense continue to improve, and they're still, I think, just taking those baby steps. They took a bigger step in the LSU game for me, maybe even a little bit of a step back here. But again, insanely talented team, best quarterback you're going to face all year. Like you said, what do you want them to do? They can't sign free agents. The guys can't grow up overnight. It is what it is.
It's kind of a fustercluck of that cornerback position, because you got a guy in Christian who they turned to corner again in the summer. The transfer Kamal Hadden. You had the walk on. My question is, where's Brandon Turnage? Right? Why wasn't D Williams getting that? Like, what is going on at that position? And the only thing that I can resolute in my mind while we're rotating bodies at corner and not at safety is that safety position is basically just acting as the quarterback, saying, here's what you got to do, guys.
Yeah.
Here's the assignment. Don't bust it,
Yeah.
And you know what? And even as bad as it's been, wasn't that pass to Jermaine Burton the longest pass we've given up on the year?
Let's see. That pass to Jermaine Burton was,
I could be totally wrong about
yards. Technically, if you include the yards after the catch from Anthony Richardson to Keon Zipper, I believe that was something like a 44-yard pass, a little bit longer, I think, for sure, in the 40s.
Okay, wait. I'm not wrong. I'm wrong. Not Burton, Earl.
Oh, let's see.
Well, or was the pass to Earl, was that a deep? Listen, y'all, I haven't had a chance to recap this or see highlights. I'm just seeing a 42-yard pass to Earl, number 10 here for Alabama.
Yeah.
42 yards. But all about to say, like, we haven't gotten beat deep.
Right.
It's not like we're doing this weird thing. It's this bending but not breaking. But my gosh, are we bending? We are bent in the most uncomfortable positions for extended periods of time. And I'm going, can we please just get off the field? Because if we forced them to punt, once?
We forced Alabama to punt.
It wasn't much. It wasn't
3
much.
times.
Okay, 3 times. And I'm going, if maybe we can squeeze one more punt in there. I mean, maybe it's not coming down to a last second field goal, excuse me. But
sure.
Alabama could be saying the same thing. Listen, hey, if we don't make this the most dumb non-football IQ play I've ever seen in my life, I mean, maybe they're saying the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're obviously biased. We've watched this game go the other way for 15 years. We've watched Alabama get some favorable calls in a lot of other games, and officiating is broken. That is the overarching sentiment.
We're going to admit that.
But the pass interference calls were pass interference. But still, if you say to yourself, you're Alabama, you gave up, not gave up, you had 130 yards, I believe, in penalty yards, maybe even 140. That sure helped you lose. The special teams, just absolute blunder by a sophomore. I can't even remotely defend that. Don't get anywhere near that ball. Just stay the heck away from it. Your return man got away from it, as he should have. And you know that McKinstry's dangerous. So he wants to return it, but he got away from it. Smart move. And then you got a guy just trying to go get near the ball and pick it up. Can't defend that. But it was right there for both teams. Alabama even delivered the last haymaker in the game with that defensive touchdown. And Tennessee just didn't fold.
Yeah, that's a big difference there. I mean, we're kind of removed from that part of the conversation at this point, but we didn't fold. We basically said, all right, this is the new obstacle. Let's go do it. But in regard to this special teams error that Alabama made, I just can't get over this, because I've seen images and short clips on Twitter and whatnot. There's two guys in his line of vision, and he has to be thinking, well, they're not going for it. Right. And it's not like he tries to get on it. Homie tries to pick it up.
Yeah, he was wanting to run with it. And listen, Solon Page, as up and down as he's been at linebacker, it's like he read his mind. My man wants to go for the ball here. He absolutely shoves him into like orbit, and it causes the ball to just kick out of there. So great play and great awareness by Solon Page, but like, none of that made the Alabama player actually go towards the ball. Like, just get away from it, my guy. I mean, had to be the longest weekend of his life.
There were echoes in Neyland Stadium of, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? You got to go watch the Nick Saban on the sideline and read his lips, because it is hilarious. What are you doing?
Yes.
What are you effing doing? Of course, he does not say effing. He uses this is F word I've never seen before in my life. I can't quite make it out. But anyway, so horrendous on their end. And you'd mentioned it, so let's just kind of get to it. The officiating. It was bad. And I'm going to sit here and tell you, as a Tennessee fan, it was bad.
It was bad.
But I'm going to tell you this also. It's bad on both ends.
Bad on both ends.
Because go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think there was. Listen, let's do this. Let me kind of segment this out. You in the stadium, we have no idea why a play is under review. There's no replay. We get the memo, official review. We get the officials coming back out of that. There was no foul for targeting on the play. Yada yada. Well, it's a very dang close target if he didn't target. But I'd point you back to Hendon Hooker losing teeth in last year's game when a player launches into his face.
Yeah.
If you want to talk targeting, that would be my rebuttal.
And I'm not saying this is like a concrete response right here, but I am curious to know, because my mind goes back after I've seen that clip. My mind goes back to 2019 Tennessee, South Carolina, where Darrell Middleton towers over.
Yeah.
Was it Helinski at that time?
I believe it was.
And the dude is massive, and he's got to get down, and it ends up being helmet to helmet. Obviously, there's no launching there.
Right.
Is there launching from Omari here? I'm not real sure. Or is he just trying to get down? There's a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
I think 9 times out of 10, though, that gets called.
Agreed.
That gets
agreed.
Called.
And it would have been.
I was going to say there is also that nobody's talking about a launch by, might have been Helms. I can't quite remember. A clear launching of his body to the helmet to Hendon, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I don't. There was an egregious no call of defensive pass. We murdered this guy. I mean, we turned his face mask. There's a no call. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that one in the end zone then, where they called it on Alabama, or they called it on us, but it should have been on
Deshaun Rucker.
Yeah. So with all that said, like, let's not just look at one side of this, because it was bad on both sides. And if you're going to say, well, Alabama got, this many and Tennessee only got this many, how many of yours were false starts? You also had a delay a game in there, and you should have had more delay a game, at least one more. But I'll say this also, when they were on our end of the end zone, I believe it was early in the game when they were deep, we got a hands to the face. We hit Young in the face.
Yeah.
No call. And I'm pretty sure it happened again.
Yeah, it may have. Yeah, they let Tennessee be aggressive with Bryce Young. And, I've watched enough football to know that it's not as simple as this game was played in Neyland Stadium and last year's game was played in Tuscaloosa. I know it's not that simple. I also know that it happens in every conference and in every game. But consistency can't be that hard, especially with it's like a week by week revolution of protecting quarterbacks, especially in the NFL. I know it doesn't impact the college game that much, but you have to see it. You have to know when the quarterback goes down that he didn't just trip. He got took down. Was it on time? Was it clean? Mm-hmm. And I just don't know why consistency is that hard. There's way too much money at every turn in college football for it to be this inconsistent. There's got to be a way. While we don't have literal chips or technology in the football to correspond with the chains and the goal line, just you can't explain that to me. I mean, we're talking officiating. So Tennessee's first touchdown, I think they scored on the play prior where there was no look into it, but the touchdown is called on second or third and goal where Jabari Small may not have gotten the end zone, but I do think he did the play before that wasn't looked at, but they look at the play that was called a touchdown, can't overturn it, touchdown stands. They look at Jalen Hyatt's second receiving touchdown in the corner of the end zone, the front corner. Mm-hmm. They deemed that as a touchdown. I do think it was, but think about the time that we could shave off of these games by making simple fixes. It can't be that hard. It just really can't.
Why can't we get more camera angles? I mean, it's 2022. We got all this technology, and we have all this money in this industry. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you, I know that we have Alabama fans who regularly listen to the show, and I thank you, I appreciate you, and I just want to say that we're gonna sit here and acknowledge that it was bad, but it was bad both ways.
Both ways.
And there's images and videos out there to validate it. But at the end of the day, how long has every college football fan been complaining about officiating? So at this point, I think we just need to realize, you know what? It is what it is. Does this crew need a job anytime soon? No, they don't. They're bad. They're bad. But it's kind of a part of the game now. It kind of just is what it is. And I think there is some a tribute, I guess might be the word, to having home field advantage. Maybe there's some kind of thought running to the back of their minds. I don't know. I don't know, but I will agree that it was egregious, that it was ridiculous. I don't know how it keeps getting worse.
Nah, me either.
When you have to go back and look and see what down you're on, you're not a good crew.
No, you're not a good crew.
You're not a good crew. I mean, one of those guys got to step in and say, "Hey, ref, it's third down."
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's not that hard.
Not that hard. But at the end of the day, you know what? It doesn't change the final score, even though, have you heard this? Apparently, the message boards on Bama, and I would love for a JP to confirm this if he's listening, but apparently the message boards on the Bama boards are flying around that they're trying to take this to Birmingham and get this game neutralized because it was so bad. Now, I just want to say this. Let me just say this. If that's what we're going to do, can we go back to the 2017 national championship game? Can we go back to last year's Tennessee-Alabama game? Can we go back to what year was that? 2014 Tennessee-Florida, where Florida kicks a game-winning field goal seconds after the play clock has expired?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Let's do it.
I mean, is that what we're going to do? And that's not a shot at JP. I'm just saying, like, he's just knowledgeable, and if he was one of the first to congratulate us, I mean,
absolutely.
So. Not shots at him, like this. Every fan base has got him, right? Yeah. And it's just the ignorant.
Hey, let's do this. Let's go actually 2 weeks back now, and let's give Texas A&M another down, one more play from the 1 foot the 1 or 2 yard line, because let's talk about that aggressive play by Terrion Arnold that looked like PI to me.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's run it back. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm here. So I'm here for that. But you know what? Going forward, you're not going to get that neutralized, whatever that means. I guess asterisk, and it doesn't count. Whatever.
Oh,
That's
man.
not going to happen. I will say this though: if we make it to Atlanta, and I'm not saying we will, because I'm going to stick with my prediction and say it's a loss to Georgia, just because I'm still in Neverland. I don't know. I don't want to play them again. I don't.
No, I really don't either, because they don't. I don't know why I'm saying this, but they don't get cooked by Jalen Hyatt if there's a rematch. I don't think.
Oh yeah, that boy's jammed at the line, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's getting something different. I don't know what it is, but no, I don't want to play him again. I don't want to be responsible for keeping Will Anderson off of Hendon Hooker again. I mean, I know he was neutralized and really kept in check as much as you can for a guy like him, but I don't want to have to do it again. I don't want to have to do any of that again. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if Tennessee beats Georgia, I would be shocked and just blown away that it wasn't Alabama and Atlanta, should that happen.
Yeah. And ESPN even knows like kind of what we're getting at here, because Alabama does this thing that when they lose, they just don't lose again. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but Alabama hosts Mississippi State Saturday. The ESPN FBI has Mississippi State at a 9.2% chance of winning this game.
And they're a 3 touchdown underdog in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's strong, my boy.
And you've got to believe that there's some people in Vegas, some of them going, listen, y'all, you need to chill out, because Tennessee just put stuff on film for Mississippi State to use, right?
Yeah.
No, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
That benefit of the doubt is real.
Give me Bama by 35.
Yeah. No, I think they will too. I really do, because they've not been able to keep Will Rogers clean against Kentucky, against LSU. So good luck Saturday. I mean,
yeah.
Usually when Alabama loses, the leg gets swept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say pretty much at this point, other than Tennessee fans, you need to turn up some I hate Alabama. You need to I hear okay. Wait, no, I do know what I say. I do know. Favorite part of the night, obviously, from everything that took place and kicking a game-winning field goal, favorite part of the night is when the stadium turned up Dixieland Delight.
Absolutely. Clutch move. I don't know who was responsible, if it was Sterling Hinton, if it was just, your standard audio operation folks, but clutch move. Give us our song back. It's a song about Tennessee.
Tennessee Byway. Anyway, so on a Tennessee Saturday night too, by the way. And secondly, the only thing that could have made that night better was Hendon Hooker leading the band.
Yes, that as well. Don't know why that didn't happen.
Oh, I can tell you why. You know where he went after that game was over?
He went to Mama.
He went looking for his mama. Dude,
Mama Hook.
Good for him, man. Class act.
Absolutely.
Kid. Class act.
Absolutely.
Kid.
I know his family is everything. You can hear it just if you listen to him a time or two. His family is everything. I mean, he's a veteran. He's an old college football player, but he was in the hospital there at Virginia Tech preseason, and he got a real scare. So everything is just ultra important to him. Huge family guy. Again, talked about it preseason. And the dude has gone and beaten Florida and Alabama. I'll never be able to put into words, lyrics. I could write a song. I'll never be able to put my love for Hendon Hooker in just, I could never say it.
A conversation that we need to have in the god-awful off season is, where does Hendon Hooker fall on the all-time Tennessee quarterback list and the all-time how much do we love you Tennessee quarterback list? Because
very, very high.
Because right now, and I was a big fan of Dobbs. He's just above Dobbs right now.
Absolutely.
He's didn't do well against Florida last year, had a heck of a game against Bama last year, played well against Georgia last year, beat Florida, beat Bama. Can you turn around and beat Georgia? As of right now, if I'm a and I'm really trying to see this unbiasedly. If I'm a Ohio State, if I'm a Michigan, if I'm a Clemson, a USC, TCU, whoever is in playoff contention, I just don't know that I want to play us. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going, dear God, no.
Yeah, you just put it all on your offense that day to somehow outscore them. But I was thinking about this at some point today and listen, we may not get the chance until a bowl game should we not make it to Atlanta and so on. I'm not even going to go down the many dream avenues. This season still has legs to take potentially, but I like our chances against anyone except for maybe an Alabama rematch, and that Georgia game will still scare the daylights out of me. But I mean, you talk about some of these other teams that are up there. I don't know how well we'd match up with Michigan, but I think it's very possible we could match up with Ohio State because I think we just played their offense, essentially. We just played kind of CJ Stroud. And then you look at Michigan, maybe we would match up okay there as well because they're more run-oriented through Blake Corum. Their defense is maybe even stronger than Ohio State's. But look at Clemson. They're not absolutely just lining up the scoreboard. So,
but that defense is nasty.
So the teams that scare me the most are still Alabama in a rematch because they're not coming back to Neyland Stadium. And then Georgia and Sanford Stadium in just a few days from now, just a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to play Georgia more than I want to play Alabama again.
Yeah. I don't like a second shot against Saban. In fact, we've already seen that play out 21 years ago, a second shot against Saban.
Yep.
But if Tennessee finds stops, which could be easier, could be tougher against Georgia, then it could be a very, very interesting game.
Yep. Hey, let's end the show with this. Unless you have anything else, I'm going to throw a stat out there. I believe I sent this to you, but I just want to read it for the Pandemonium Reigns fans. And listen, y'all, our name has never been more true because Saturday was Pandemonium. And listen, Pandemonium Reigns podcast is undefeated.
Undefeated.
We remain undefeated. Tennessee Volunteers are undefeated since the beginning of this podcast. Anyways, stat: teams in college football history to start 6-0, beat 4 top 25 AP opponents, and score 30-plus points in each of its first 6 games in a single season. That list consists of the 2022 Tennessee Volunteers, and that's it.
That's it.
Ain't nobody else. And I want to end that because this segues well. We've talked about the Pitt game and how that's changed. We've talked about the Florida game. We've talked about the LSU game, and how maybe they're not necessarily top 25 wins. However, that led me to some curiosity, and I thought, okay, well, Ohio State's still a top 3 team. Who have they played? Okay, well, they beat Notre Dame week 1, 21-10. An ugly win, right? And Notre Dame is not good. They're coming off a loss to Stanford.
Stanford's second win of the season.
Yeah. They beat Arkansas State. They've beaten Toledo. They've beaten a Wisconsin who just fired their coach. They've beaten Rutgers. And they've beaten an underwhelming Michigan State. And they're getting ready to host Iowa, who has scored 47 points on the year. So you're gonna travel to Penn State after that. You're gonna host. You're gonna travel to Northwestern. Whoop-de-doo. You're gonna host Indiana. You're gonna travel to Maryland. That might be decent if they can match score for score.
Well, I believe I saw Michigan. That Tagovailoa's badly hurt, so probably not a game.
Okay, so you have 2 games on your schedule: Penn State and Michigan. That's it. That's what you got.
And you got Penn State that Michigan just walloped.
Gave them a good old waxing.
So right now, Michigan is more impressive to me than Ohio State. Will they be able to beat them 2 years in a row and start their own streak? God, I hope so. Yeah. We'll see.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, the one last thing that I wanted to mention is that late money or that late spread movement from Alabama to like a touchdown favorite to like 9.5 late before the game, maybe even Friday, early Saturday. Looking very interesting right now. That was that was a bad omen to me. I mean, I wasn't worried about Bryce Young because I thought he would play. I thought he would give it a go. We got the best Bryce Young that we've seen all year, just about. It didn't matter, but that was a bad omen to me. I don't know why that line moved that direction. Vegas probably lost a lot of money because we know that this game was the most bet game of the week, and that far and away more money was put on Tennessee than Alabama. So doesn't make sense. Vegas lost one. You'd love to see it in this situation.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I can't ever recall a college football weekend where one game has dominated the conversation like this one has. And I've tried to go back in my mind to, I went back to what they call the game of the century, 2011, Alabama LSU.
Yeah.
My mind didn't let me go that far. So I don't remember. But in recent memory, dating back to say 2017, I just can't think of anything.
And we were talking about what an awesome college football weekend this would be with 3 matchups of top 25 teams. What an awesome week it was going to be. And it was, but this game dominated the scene. It was a long football game because that's what CBS does. And it doesn't hurt my feelings that Tennessee won it, but it was an incredible game, incredible ending, incredible game.
Yep. And props to TCU for pulling out a double overtime.
Amen.
That nobody is talking about.
Right. Yeah. Attaboy to y'all guys.
Sorry, guys. Our bad. I want to end by asking you one question.
Let's do it.
What are the odds, percentage-wise, that Tennessee, Georgia is 3:30 CBS?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, especially. I mean, if we do what we're supposed to and we beat Kentucky, then yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
100%.
CBS 330. That's what we did. We did CBS 330 100 times in 2016. We're on pace for a third. Hey, maybe everybody on game day will pick Tennessee to beat Georgia, except for Kirk Herbstreit. That would make me feel really good. Which
is crazy because that would mean arguably 12-0 if we beat Georgia. Which right now, barring no horrible injuries, or the floor is 11-1
in year 2, and we were underwhelmed by the hire.
I'm sorry, Josh.
I'm so sorry, Josh Heupel. I'm a dirtbag.
Sorry, man. Props to our president who said, you know what? The tearing of the goalpost, hope we do it every year.
We'll do this every year. I'll be glad.
Do it every year. Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to Pandemonium Reigns. Handed a guy behind us our Spotify link, so hopefully you got a chance to listen in. He did give me a follow on my personal account of Instagram, so that was neat. Appreciate you listening. If you're following on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hitting the like button. That helps us so much. Thank you for sharing. So make sure you're pushing those buttons. I do, Michael, you and I owe one more thank you. Thank you.
We
to
owe
my
one
mother.
big thank you.
Thank
Linda
you to my
Tucker
mother and
GOAT
and her hubby, her husband, my pop for buying us those tickets. Yes, my mom bought those tickets. Merry Christmas to us.
Yeah.
So,
my gosh, what a woman.
Appreciate you guys letting us tickle those ears. We are going to leave you with the beautiful sound of John Ward and his famous 2 words, Pandemonium Reigns. We love you guys so much. God bless and go Vols.
Pandemonium Reigns.